Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation, everyone. So let me start by introducing myself again. So my name is Neeraj Kheria, and I've been active in this IT industry for almost 10 years now. We have worked across multiple industry verticals, including insurance, banking, retail, pharmaceutical, aviation, location-based services in the markets of India, US, Canada, Singapore, and Australia so far. And this is our 8th class of the entire 10 class journey that we are covering on top of DevOps here, guys. So as we know, we have started our journey on the discussion of the entire structure for DevOps, why DevOps is used. Then we had covered multiple DevOps tools and strategies. Then we had started with Git. Then we had proceeded with Jenkins. Then we had seen how we can go ahead with Docker. Then we had seen the concept of Kubernetes. Then we had discussed on Ansible. And now today our main focus would be on Puppet, right? And before we start here, let me share this meetup. Let me discuss again on this meetup community here, guys. So we have an entire meetup community where you can all go ahead and join this entire meetup community. The main advantage of this one is we conduct 150 plus webinars on a monthly basis, right? So you can all be a part of this and of this fantastic journey with us, where we discuss on where we conduct webinars on multiple topics ranging from cloud computing to DevOps to different development technologies and so on. So that we can now this can be a good platform for us to in staying updated on what is happening in these technologies, how to get started, how to work in different modules inside these. And the best part is it is completely free. We don't have to pay anything for attending these webinars. Again, we just have to sign up, become a member, and you'll be notified on the entire schedule. Plus, you'll be getting notified on when the webinars are being organized, right? So you can all go ahead and join this entire meetup community here, guys, and then you can stay updated. You can update yourself in the overview for all the technologies that we discuss on a daily basis. All right. So let me share this link with everyone here on YouTube. All right. So here we have the link shared on YouTube, everyone. So now we can simply go ahead and become a part of this entire community here, right? All right, so now let's resume from the same point where we had wrapped up yesterday. So yesterday we were looking at the concept of Ansible, what exactly Ansible is, and how we can get started on using Ansible here. Right, and now we'll be focusing on Puppet and seeing what Puppet is and how we can get started on using Puppet for our advantage here, right, as a part of our entire DevOps strategies. Now, the main agenda for today's session here we'll be discussing on why exactly we need configuration management tools, what exactly is configuration management, and we'll be focusing on different tools available as a part of configuration management, what exactly is Puppet architecture here, and how we can get started on understanding on different components of architecture. And then and at the end we'll be focusing on a small hands-on as a part of this entire session here. All right, that will be our agenda for today's session here. Just a moment. Now, first of all, let's understand why exactly we need configuration management, right? Although we had discussed this part earlier as well, but for those who have joined for the first time in this webinar, for whom this is a first class, let's revisit why exactly we need configuration management and what exactly is the architecture for configuration management that we have in different tools, right? So basically, configuration management is required when we have a job where we have to focus on structuring multiple applications in one go, right? Suppose if we want to configure large infrastructure, and again, that becomes a very hectic job for any human resource out there, right? Because again, if we have to set up, suppose as simple layman terms that what we have discussed here, suppose if we have to focus on structuring the same configuration only for one server, right? For example, let's say if we have to, now let's revisit this part here. If we have one server that we need to configure here, for example, now this server, on this server, we need to configure a specific version of PHP, right? Suppose we want PHP, suppose as 5.7 itself, and we now here we have a SQL, right? So in SQL also we will have suppose 5.0, right? Now, we want these two configurations to be done on this entire server that we have deployed here, right? Now, if we have only one server to deploy, here, then that will be really easy for us to do that, right? But if we have the same, if we want to perform the same configuration on 100 server, or suppose we have on 1000 server, then that will be too hectic. Plus, that will take a lot of time in order to schedule and configure that. All right. And that exactly is again solved by using configuration management tools here. All right. So same configuration if we have to perform on 1000 servers, again, then what we can do, we can simply take the help of a template file, right? We can simply create a simple template file, same like a playbook that we had discussed yesterday, right? So same like a playbook that we defined yesterday here, we can define all the configuration that needs to be done in each and every server here. And the same template can be used to configure these 1000 servers parallelly, right? So this won't configure it in such a manner that first of all the first server is configured, then only it will move on to the second server. Then once second is done, then only it will move on to the third server, and so on, right? It won't work in this way. Here it will simply take care of configuring multiple servers in one go at one time, so that suppose traditionally if this configuration for 1000 servers requires suppose 2 weeks, then this can be done using this entire configuration management tools in just an hour itself, right? That's how efficient it is. So is this part clear to everyone? Please give me a quick information, guys. So let's clear this up. So that's exactly what we need configuration management tools here for, right? So that the entire configuration setup, it becomes much easier for us, right? So that it becomes much easier for us to not only to configure the entire server for once, but again, if we want to roll out any updates. Okay, Srinivas, so simultaneous upgrades are possible only in Puppet. No, Srinivas, they are almost every configuration management tools does this simultaneously as in parallel job. Is it clear, Srinivas? Please give me a quick information. Perfect. Thank you for confirming. And we need configuration management not only to just update the servers only once. For example, earlier we have the PHP, suppose a specific version of PHP installed here, right? As 5.7. Now we want to update the current version. Suppose that this is being configured for, let's suppose 1,000 servers here, right? And now we want to update the same configuration to something else. To suppose, let's say, to another version of PHP. Then we can do that easily. Using this configuration management tool. Suppose now if we wish to update this, suppose to 7, PHP 7, then that can be done automatically using configuration management tools here. All right. Now let's erase this up, and that's why we need a configuration management tool in order to make sure that even the update, or suppose, let's say, even in the same case, again, if we have to roll back from the 7 to 5.7, again, that can be done easily using the configuration management tool, so that we don't have to waste a lot of time in coming back and forth, right? And going back and forth on the updates or on the rollback for any particular system configuration here. That's the advantage we get using configuration management tools out here. All right. And this was also a problem faced by multiple developers out here. So again, application works in developer's laptop, but again, not in the testing or production, right? Because again, the developer can, because again, the same configuration focus followed by developers may not be followed by the production team itself, right? And that's exactly what we have looked at earlier as well, right? And now let's understand the entire purpose of having a configuration management with a small use case of where and how effectively we can use the configuration management tools in real-time situations. Let's go ahead and look at that, right? So configuration management at NYSE. So NYSE is simply New York Stock Exchange. Now, New York Stock Exchange, what it did simply now, it's just simply time to roll back to the previous version software again was higher, right? Suppose what NYC did, again, NYC simply updated one of the existing softwares there, right? And again, because of this updation here, the multiple servers were not functioning, right? And as a result of proper configuration management process that was adopted by New York Stock Exchange, they recovered from the, now they wanted to roll back to the previous, or we can say last known configuration here, right? And using the configuration management tool itself, they were able to recover from that situation in less than 90 minutes, right? Although each and every minute of having a downtime in the stock exchange cost millions, right? But again, they were able to recover the entire in 90 minutes. Again, had the problem continued for longer period of time, this could have been disaster. This could have been disaster for the entire stock market, right? And that's why configuration management tools became so much popular, and especially for making sure that even in case of any failures, for example, now to understand this in a simple example here, let's say if we have an application, now we upgraded that application, suppose currently this is version 4, here, right? And now we upgraded that application to suppose version 5, right? Although the entire application is working fine as it should, but all the connected services to it, for example, suppose here we had connected this to suppose a notification system, right? We also had connected the application to suppose as a payment system. There was also an integration with the database, right? So although the application itself is working fine, but since the version here has been changed, the file has been updated, the payment system attached to it may malfunction, because again they are not configured. They are not configured for the upgraded version. They have been configured for the previous version for which they were working fine, but now since the entire version has been updated, it may simply push up the uncompatibility issues, right? And that may lead to the entire or the components of the application failing, right? And suppose whenever that happens, again we need to have a system so that we can roll back, so that if we want, we can roll back to the last known configuration that was working perfectly in no time, right? So that the possibility of facing a huge loss is minimized as a part of configuration management system out here, right? That's why every system, and when we say every system, especially those systems having a higher risk, that has to be configured using the configuration management systems out here. All right. That has to be configured using the configuration management system out here. So are we all clear on the concept of configuration management system here, guys? Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. Are we all clear on the concept of configuration management system here? Perfect. Thank you for confirming. Karthikesh, Srinivas, Rajesh, Vijay, Jagan. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, everyone. Yes, Sumit. So Puppet is used for large applications, for enterprise applications, while Ansible is mostly used for small applications. Absolutely. I hope it is clear for you as well, Harshan. I think Sumit also clear this for you. So let's clear this out. Now, it's the correct time to understand what exactly is the configuration management system here that we had discussed. Configuration management system is simply the practice of handling changes systematically so that a system maintains its integrity over time, right? So that there is no changes done over time automatically by the systems. And again, even if a change has been detected, it can be configured as the way it should, right? Suppose an update has been pushed for this particular environment here. Again, suppose it should be version 5, but again, it has been updated automatically to version 6, right? So again, if the change is also monitored using is being detected, again, it can be rolled back to the last known version for maintaining the entire system integrity, right? And making it fault tolerant. And that is also a purpose of the configuration management tool out here. And as we have seen here, that there are two types of configuration management approaches here. We have push and then we have pull, right? So when we talk about push configuration here, now there's a centralized server and it is connected to multiple nodes. Nodes as in the systems, the workspaces that is running different jobs here, right? Suppose here we want to configure the systems, right? Now what we can do, whatever the configuration is already available on node. For example, in suppose node we already have a set configuration here, then centralized server will simply push that update to those nodes here, right? Whereas in pull configuration, what happens? First of all, this server pull the existing configuration done on each and every server here. For example, let's say this node is having suppose PHP 5.7, right? And this one is having a different version, this is having a different version, and so as this one, correct? Suppose this one is using 7, this one is using 5.4, 5.0 itself, and like here we have a different configuration in place here as 5.1, right? Now, suppose based on the centralized server, we need to push the update. We need to update each and every node here to 5.7, right? Then even though 5.7, now this node is already having 5.7, still the update here will be pushed to this node, right? to every node here as a part of push configuration, here, right? Whereas in pull configuration, first of all, the centralized server will fetch the report from these nodes. That is what exactly are their configurations here, right? What exactly are their configurations? Suppose if this node tells, okay, this is already configured to 5.7, again, then there's no need in order to update this one. And suppose if this node reports, okay, the configuration here is 7, then then the changes here will be pushed to this node here in order to downgrade it to 5.7, right? Same way, the same thing will be done for each and every node here. All right. And that is exactly what we mean by push and pull configuration. So are we all clear on the concept of push and pull configuration? Please give me a quick confirmation, guys. Are we all clear on the concept of push and pull configuration? Kartikesh, Srinivas, Rajesh, Vijay, Srinivas. Perfect. Thank you for confirming, everyone. All right, now let's erase this up. Yes, Sumit, because again, we had seen this part here, because in the earlier session, we had seen what exactly is push and pull, because again, here we are focusing on push and pull, right? So especially for those who have joined for the first time, we just want to make sure that this is clear for everyone. And thank you so much for the patience as well. All right, so now these are different tools available here as a part of Puppet, SaltStack, Ansible, and Chef. These are the most popular configuration management tools available, right? Now, first of all, let's discuss on what exactly is Puppet. So Puppet is simply a configuration management tool that is used for deploying, configuring, and manage servers. It is useful in master-slave architecture, right? So now Puppet simply helps in mastering all the content. Now master contains all the configuration that needs to be pushed here, right? So first of all, Puppet first of all, the configurations are pulled from the master by the nodes, right? First of all, the configurations are pulled from the master by the nodes here, and then it simply pushes out the entire configuration, right? So now in terms of understanding the entire Puppet and Puppet master and slave architecture, so this is what we have. First of all, Puppet master will simply ask for the configuration from the node itself, right? So node will simply send the normalized data, as in what exactly is the configuration required here. All right. So first of all, here node will send out the information to master what exactly the configuration is, right? And then Puppet master will simply use what the report. Suppose node has sent the information that as a part of data here, node has notified the master that it is currently having the configuration as 5.7, right? Then Puppet here will again send the configuration, the data back to the node that configure this to 7, it's to version 7. This has to be configured to version 7 here, right? And once the entire once the node gets the update here, node will itself update itself to version 7, right? And then node will again send the same data back to Puppet master about the current configuration after update. And again, if it is correct or not, again, if it is correct, then this will mark it completed, or again this will be again reinitiated as a part of Puppet master slave architecture, right? So that's how it works in master slave architecture on top of Puppet. All right, so let's clear this up. And here in Puppet, what we do is simply if you go ahead and focus on SSL, a secured socket layer, connection between the master and slave here. That's what we use here. And again, Puppet will simply request for a master certificate from the master. So slave will request a certificate from master. Again, master will send it back again, right? And same way, master will also request for slave certificate. And then slave will simply send the certificate here. Again, it will request for the data as well. And again, once it has been processed, it will send the data back again as a part of entire configuration done using master and slave connection space on Puppet architecture. Now, if we have to understand the use case for Puppet here, we can simply now Puppet is widely used for deployment of MySQL and PHP that we discussed just now, right? So, for example, here we are using the predefined modules here. For example, here we will download the modules for PHP and MySQL. That will which this will be defined in two classes, namely PHP and MySQL itself, right? And then suppose if we want to declare these two in two different classes, then we can define them in something called as Puppet manifest. So now here we have Puppet manifest. So when we say manifest, it's same like we had discussed on playbook, right? So same like we had discussed on playbook in Ansible. So I hope you all remember playbook, guys. We had discussed on the concept of playbook in a yesterday session, right? So playbook was just like a template which had all the configurations predefined, right? So whatever needs to be configured in the entire structure, in the entire servers, for that part, we had used the playbook, right? Same way Ansible has playbook, and same way Puppet has manifest. Puppet has manifest that we can say it's simply like a template out there that we can use in order to configure and customize the configuration of for any particular server out there, right? And then finally, the Puppet agents will simply pull those configuration, and for PHP and MySQL will be installed in the agents altogether. All right, that's how it works in the Puppet architecture here. So let's clear this out. And that's why in Puppet, and that's why in the entire structure for Puppet here, we have classes and resources, and we have manifest, and then we have modules. So first of all, here we have classes, then we have manifest, and then we have modules packed inside it. So first of all, manifests are, again, they can be deployed, but again, it's a good practice to bundle all the manifests together in the format of a module, right? So if we have multiple configurations, if we have multiple manifests that we have built here in the classes, right? Then it's a good practice to simply combine all the modules together inside to combine everything inside a single module here. All right. Now, first of all, let's do understand what exactly we mean by resources and classes, and again, how we can combine them as a part of the entire group here. All right. So first of all, let's go ahead and look at how we can first of all install Puppet. So that once we are done with the installation of Puppet here, then we'll come back and see how we can define the resources and how we can use it and how we can create the manifest and then get started. All right. So just let's set it up. So just a moment. So once we are done with this part here, we'll be having a fair understanding of how we can get started on top of Puppet. And then we'll see how we can start creating the manifest out of it, step by step. All right. Now the same process will be following here. So now let's do one thing. Let's simply launch our entire EC2 instance for getting started here. So let's log into a console again on AWS. Now here we have the entire instance up and running here. So now let's log into our Ubuntu instance as well so that we can start working on it. Let's see if it is up and running. No, the session here has been terminated. So now let's do one thing. Let's close this up. And let's restart a new connection. Let's enter the IP address here. Under data, here we have default name as Ubuntu. Under SSH, here we have authentication. Under authentication, here we have to choose a key that we have used for initiating and for launching this entire instance here. If we want to save it up, we can save it up. Let's open up this connection. All right. So once this is done here, let's zoom this in. Let's change the font size to 18. Yeah. Now, first of all, to get started here, first of all, what we can do is now first of all, here we can simply change ourselves to the root user, right? Because again, if we change ourselves to root user, then again, we'll be having a complete clarity or complete access, just like a root user access itself, right? So first of all, here we have to change ourselves to the root user here. And for doing that, we can simply use a command that we have done, that we have looked already, that is sudo su. And let's clear out this entire code, the earlier code, just to avoid the confusion. All right. Now, once we have done this part here, now, first of all, we can go ahead. Now, we have to, now here we also have to set the host machine, right? So we have the concept of master and slave, right? So here we can go now for doing that. What we can do here, we already have two instances up and running here, right? So we can name this instance as, here we can name this as a host machine. And again, for doing that, here we can go to this option here as etc as host name, so that we can start. Here we can enter the name of this entire machine that will be using to point using the agent, or we can say using the node machines out here. So here, once we enter the R nano editor here we have the IP address. So now let's save it as master. Let's save it as master. Okay, I have a query from someone. No problem, Srinivas. And let's save it. Once we are done, okay, we also need to do the same thing. We also need to do the same thing with the other machine as well that we will connect to in later on once we are done with the installation of Puppet here. Now, once we are done with that part here, now we can go ahead and install the package. Now here we can go ahead and install the Puppet server package. So now let me share the link first of all with everyone. Just a moment. So we can simply use this link here, guys, in order to get started here. Now, for installation of the Puppet app for the Puppet here, we can simply use wget, and here we can simply specify the entire package here from the Puppet Lab. So here we can get the link here. Let me share this link with everyone in case you don't have it. Here you go. Now, in order to download the Puppet package, first of all, here we have to use a small command called wget, and then we can specify the Puppet package that we are trying to install and set here. Here you go. So I've shared the link here with everyone here, guys. Okay, Sumit, so there's two instances running in your console. One is used as master and the other one is being used as a slave. Yes, Sumit? So then we have to define this as a master or slave as well, right? Because again, when we are trying to pinpoint later on, then we will need these two things being added into the host name, right? So we have to pinpoint which IP is master and which one is slave, or as a node here. Is it clear, Sumit? Please give me a quick confirmation. Because here we also need to connect to the new instance here. And again, for new session, again, we have to use the second one as a slave, right? So again, for second one, we can simply go ahead and enter the system here. So that now, once we are done with the entire setup here, we can simply use this particular instance as a slave here, right? So here we can name this as slave as well. All right. So now first, before entering the slave here, let's go ahead and install Puppet in the master node itself. Now, once we have installed the package here, for the link for which I have shared with everyone here, guys. So here we have the link. Here we have the link as https app.puppetlabs.com, Puppet Labs release pca1 external.db, right? And then here we have to use a command also as wget, so that this can simply download the package and store it in the location so that we can go ahead and use it. All right. And now once we have the package stored here, we can simply use this command here as now to simply extract the entire package here, we can simply install the package here using this command here as dpackage I, and then we have to specify the package name that we have currently downloaded, right? So the package name is simply the Puppet Labs released for PC1 Xenial.dev, the same that we have currently added here, right? Now, once we are done, we can simply hit enter, and now this will simply start installing it. As you can see now, once the entire, now just to make sure here, guys, that we use the same name, there's no typos in the name of the package that we are trying to add here, right? And then once we are done, we can simply unpack the package here, will be completely unpacked, right? So first of all, are we clear till these 2 pointers, how to get the link and how to add that, how to download the repository here and how to unpackage it? Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. Are we all clear till this part? Please give me a quick information, guys. Sushant, Karthikeya, Srinivas, Samit. Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation, everyone. Now, once we are done with this part here, yes, Karthikeya, we can do parallel hands-on with you. That'll be great. If you can, if you have the access to at your end, then we can go ahead and do it. That'll be the great. All right, and once we have unpacked it here, guys, now we can go ahead and first of all, let's do one thing. Let's update the servers here. We're using the command here as apt get update to update all the services as a prerequisite before we install any new component here. Once the update has been done, then we can simply use the command here apt get install Puppet server. So again, we can go ahead and use here apt get install Puppet server. Let me share the command with you, with everyone now. Let me share, or let me just type it down the command here. Let me share all the commands that we have used here. So once we have updated the service here, then we have to simply use the command here as to install it. We simply have to use apt get install Puppet server. Once we type it around here, we can simply, and the entire package here will be unpacked and then it will be installed one by one. As you can see here, using the command here as apt get install Puppet server. So it may take a couple of seconds, but again, this will be installed. Now, once this is completed here, now we can simply go ahead and what we can do is we can simply go ahead and open the Puppet file. So see how, like what exactly we have to configure this Puppet server as well, right? As a part of completion of our entire demo here, we also have to configure the Puppet server, right? And again, for opening up the Puppet server, to see the configuration that will be used by this Puppet server here, we can simply go ahead and type down a command here as now we can simply use this nano editor, right? And using the nano editor here, we can open up the default folder here. But again, for Puppet server that has been saved here, for the default folder for Puppet server, right? And default, we have default, and then here we'll be having a folder as Puppet server, which will be present after the installation of Puppet server is done. So as you can see, once we open it up here, this will showcase the amount of memory that has been assigned here, the timeout, the service stop retires here, and the amount of time and the memory has been assigned. As you can see, currently we have assigned 256 MB of RAM for this entire agent here. So again, we can configure this exactly as per requirement. Suppose let's say we wanted to make it 4 GB, we want to make it to suppose 2 GB, depending upon the requirement, we can do it. All right, and here, let's suppose here we save it up. And again, if we want now, again, as a simple step here, what we need to do is we simply need to open up one port for Puppet, right? Again, here we can use, suppose, let's say we have a port number as 8140, right? So now for allowing the port number 8140, here we can use a small command here as UWFW and then allow 8140. So that now this being a main agent here, this being a master slave, here we are allowing the port number as 8140. Port number as 8140 here. All right, so now we are done with the installation of Puppet into a master. Now if we want, we can go ahead and set the same into our agent, or as in we can say the slave structure. So here we can open it up. So first of all, are we all clear till this part on how to set it up on the master? Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. First of all, are we all clear till this point? Please give me a quick confirmation, guys, so that now once we have a clarity on this one, then we'll do the same on our slave system as well. Perfect. Thank you for confirming, Karthike, Vijay, Sushant. We can set the port. Samit, we can set the port. And currently we have simply opened up 8104 because we have already others installed on some other ports. So that's why we have 8140 that we defined here. Is it clear, Sumit? Perfect. Thank you for confirming. Is it clear enough? Is it clear, Sumit? Perfect. Thank you for confirmation. Now let's do the same thing. Now let's do the same setup here on the other node as well, on the other setup, right? So let's open this up. So now let's open the same thing for our for a node machine, right? So let's have it now. This will also be a quick recap for those who have joined for the first time here. So let's clear this out. Let's switch to the root user here. Now, first of all, what we have done is we have simply, first of all, we have to change the entire name as well, correct? And for that part, what we have done, we have simply used the nano. First of all, we have to edit the host name. We have to edit the host name here. So that's why here. So that's why we can open up a nano editor, etc host name, and here we can attach our own host name here. That is now this can be the k node that we have to attach here. Right, so again, since here we are focusing on slave here, we can name it as slave or node, whatever our configuration needs to be. All right, and then we have to perform the same step that we did on master. First of all, here we have to download the package using wget. First of all, here we have to download the package that we did using wget here. So let's use the same command here. Let's download the packages here. Once we have the package downloaded, then we have to unpack it as well, right? And for unpacking it, again, we can use the same command that we did for the master using the d package here, right? And now once we are done with this part here, again, now let's update these services first. Apt-get update. Okay, we mistyped it. So in the entire services here will be updated one by one. Now, once we are done updating all the services here, then we can simply install Puppet using apt-get install Puppet server. So here we can use apt-get install Puppet server. So the entire package here will be installed one by one. It may take a couple of seconds in order to be completed. And now once it is done, now here we can simply open up the, again we can open up the, using the nano editor, here we can open up the Puppet server file from the default folder. So we can see the configuration, okay, how much of memory is assigned here. Currently we are using the 512 MB, right? So again, as you can see here we have the memory assigned as 256 MB. Now that will be depending upon the limitation of the server on which we are deployed here. Currently we have deployed a server having a maximum memory size of 512 MB, right? So obviously here we cannot go more than 512 MB in any case, right? But again, depending upon the server, if we want to increase or we want to make some changes, we can do that easily using this file here, right? Once we're done making the changes, we can simply come back. Right? And now what we have to do is now, again, in this particular slave agent here, we have to use this command as Puppet agent. We also have to install this Puppet agent as well, right? And again, for installing this as a Puppet agent, we can simply use a command as install Puppet agent, right? So again, here we can use this command here as apt-get update install Puppet agent, because again, this will be working like an agent itself. Earlier we had done for the master, right? Now we have to install Puppet agent here, right? So that's why we have to use install Puppet agent. Okay, we have used update. We don't want to use update here. We want to use install. Let's remove update here. As you can see, Puppet agent is already in the newer version. And this has been configured here. Now, once it has been configured, again, we can start the Puppet service here. Now, for starting the Puppet service, we can simply use the command as system ctl. right? We can simply use a command, a small command here as systemctl, and then we can use start puppet. And then for enabling puppet, we can simply use the same command systemctl, and here we can use enable puppet for enabling the puppet here. Now okay, we did not save this name here. Let's make some changes to the name here so that we don't feel confused. Let's again change the editors here as nano etc host name. Let's name this slave itself as a part of slave. Let's Control X. So are we all clear on how to set it up on the node as well? Please give me a quick confirmation, guys. Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. Vijay, Karthikeya. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, everyone. And again, if you want to see the status of the puppet running here, again, we can use the same command as systemctl. And again, if you want to see the status of the puppet up and running, we can simply use status. So as you can see here, we can use a command as status to see the complete status of the entire puppet up and running. As you can see here, we simply have to use a command as puppet agent. Now here we can see it is active up and running as a puppet agent altogether, right? So that's how we can get started on installing the puppet both on master and slave. And here we can see how we can keep the entire agent up and running here. All right. So that's how we can get started on installation and running of puppet engine here, guys. And as a continuation of the same journey that we have started on Puppet, so here we have, now let me share the link for the entire certification training here. Sumit, we have installed Puppet agent in the slave, not in the not in the master, but in the slave itself. Is it clear, Sumit? Please give me a quick confirmation. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. All right, so that's how we can get started on top of Puppet here, guys. So do you have any questions or anything you want to discuss or ask here, guys? Please feel free to do that. All right, perfect. So let me share the link for the entire certification training here, guys. Just a moment. Okay, Niketan, so to get the entire course here we have to go ahead and sign up and join entire certification training on top of DevOps. Let me share the link with everyone here. Here you go. Let me share the link with everyone here, guys. Here. So here we have full-fledged. We have a full-fledged certification training here, guys. Now, in the entire focus module for DevOps, we'll be focusing on, first of all, the entire overview for DevOps here. Then we'll be discussing on version control with Git, then Jenkins, then continuous integration using Jenkins here. Then we'll focus on Selenium, continuous deployment used with Docker, the entire containerizations ecosystem with Docker here, and configuration management system available with Ansible, Kubernetes, and Nagios, and how to start with DevOps on top of cloud. And each and every module here is combined with multiple hands-on on whatever we have learned on that particular module, right? For example, let's say we are focusing on Docker here, right? So here we can start. Now here we'll be having the hands-on on Docker itself, right? Here we are focusing on containerization, then here we'll be focusing on hands-on on that module itself, right? All right, so, and again, as always, guys, you all will be getting the NPS feedback form towards the end of the session here. So please feel free to drop in please feel free to give us, to rate us excellent in that feedback form as a small token of appreciation for the hard work and time that we have put in, right? So please do rate us excellent in the feedback form as a small token of appreciation. And for those who are joining via YouTube, please feel free to just hit the like button and sugar love for us, right? Thank you so much for joining, guys. And again, tomorrow we'll be continuing our journey on DevOps on the subsequent modules, right? And how to get started on the subsequent modules here. All right. So till then, practice on whatever we have discussed so far. And thank you so much for joining, guys. Have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.